WhatsApp numbers, etc., which abstracts away the need to route funds. So you don't need to figure out cross-chain routing. You don't need to communicate with the recipient, because if you have a WhatsApp number, you just send it to the number, that's it. And it will automatically resolve to the correct address and the correct destination, including the routing. A little bit similar for those of you who are familiar with ENS or name services, where you have a domain name that resolves to an address. Think about it. It's conceptually very similar to that. We'll take an Instagram name, a LinkedIn name, a WhatsApp number that resolves to an address. But on top of it, it does also cross-chain routing. So it is not a single chain-focused play in that sense. Yeah, so that's in a nutshell what we do. Our mission is very simple. We believe that, the people who already are in crypto are the ones that are somewhat excited about the tech. So they don't mind to bridge stuff around and take time and verify everything. But, there is a big part, I guess, like billions of people out there, they really can't be bothered with it. And they need something that's simple. And I think we are at this point now where stable coins are there. They're going to change a lot in terms of payments. But I think that the next big things in order to drive this adoption curve from a retail perspective is we need to unlock this friction that we have in crypto, and it just needs to be simple. That's our mission.
And what market do we look at when we look at the entire payment market that you could take a significant line share of with this disruptive product?
I mean, I mean, so there's different ways of how to go about it. Like typically, like you look at what is already being done in the real world in terms of payments. So you have like, the remittance use cases, you have local peer-to-peer, you have merchant payments, and all of these different, even all the way down to trades, trade finance. But I think what for us is really exciting is the area or part of that market that we can unlock that is not even there today. Let me give you an example. I mean, and of course, like you could see our tool as, taking a share of the remittance market or taking a share of like, freelancer payments, or whatever you want to say that's already there. And it probably will do that as well. But what we're really bullish about is to maybe use an example from Web3. You have these platforms, without calling out names, but they enable projects to set up certain tasks, and then people perform it, and then they get an airdrop of a token, right? Let's call it audience engagement. I'm not the pro in that space, but maybe there's a better term. But this is highly, this works very well in Web3. And it drives, we see where it goes with the whole mind share and all of that. Like people at the end of the day can be rewarded for spending time and talking about the project and getting involved with it. In Web 2, that is not possible. All you have in Web 2 today, you download an app like one of those neobanks or whatever, and then you can refer a user and you get like $50 or something, right? If you've done certain things, that's all you can do. But you cannot engage a community on Instagram. You cannot, or on TikTok. And this is something that we can actually enable. Imagine this: you're a brand or you're an influencer, and you post a story on Instagram, and you now say, hey, like or maybe you ask a question, whatever, like 10 people. The first 10 people who interact with your content or reshare the story or answer something correctly, you airdrop them $20 lunch money to their Instagram username. That's it, right? So you can basically take this concept of audience engagement from Web3 to Web 2, a proven concept, to Web 2 and apply it on TikTok, on Instagram, and all of that. So those are the things that personally I'm very excited about. That's where we unlock completely new use cases that have not been there in payments.
And what are we looking at in terms of user numbers here?
So, I mean, we have onboarded over this year over 300,000 social media users. Not all of them are active on a daily basis, obviously. But we've also, this is also a result of a lot of different experiments in terms of how to acquire users. And one of the things that's tricky, just to give a little context to the number,
Yeah.
one of the things that's very tricky in payments is, especially if you're targeting Web 2, the non-crypto natives, the moment something smells like crypto, you're labeled as a scam, right? It's like it's very, very difficult to drive adoption as as if you're a new product and you don't have one of those big top 10 names behind it. So that's one of the main reasons why we actually focused since I think May, June this year, focused more on the Web3 space. And I think we'll get to this in a second, also in terms of the token and all that. Because now we are at a size with over 300,000 users onboarded that helps in terms of credibility in the Web2 space. If we're going out now and we'll speak to people in a non-crypto world, the message is a very different one. It is like, if you want to receive stable coins with your WhatsApp number, 300,000 people do it already.
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay, so disruptive project, mass adoption already. What is the next for HANLD? What are the news you can tell us today?
Yeah, well, quite a bit.
Yeah.
So we're about to launch our token. Let's just be very clear here. That has been in the making for quite some time. But to be very honest, like the way these tokens are launched nowadays it's a tricky play, right? Like nobody's FOMOing into new tokens. And it's tricky to get an ROI, and you have this, these usual charts. You list, you get some momentum, and then it just goes down, right? And this is something that it's really, I think if you're building a real project, I mean, we have like bigger goals with Handle Pay here. We don't want to risk a launch that actually negatively impacts the whole reputation of the project ultimately, right? So what we're going to do differently, and I like, I'm going to share a couple of news here so that you understand the kind of playbook we are going with for this launch, which is very non-standard in that sense.
Yeah.
Let me start off with the news that we are integrated with the Canton network now. For those of you who don't know, Canton, they've been around a while, but they have also listed their token about, I think, 2 weeks ago, I believe it was. It's one of the top 50 projects. You can look it up, 3 billion plus valuation. It's called CC, Canton Coin. And what's really interesting also, I mean, they take a very different approach than typical chains, typical layer ones, when it comes to tokenomics. A lot of chains, they try to convince builders to come and build and give them a grant. Then, you build a product and then nobody uses it, right? So kind of a bit tricky. The Canton network is built on a completely different tokenomics concept where apps that actually produce on-chain traction and activity use cases, apps earn a portion of the gas fees. So imagine you're deploying an app on Ethereum, and part of the gas fee of ETH flows back to the app developer. Wow.
That's a beautiful concept, actually. I didn't know that.
Yes, and it does make a lot of sense, and especially because you're driving the right incentives. If your app does not produce on-chain activity because people are not willing to pay for gas fees or whatever, then all right, then you don't get paid, right? If you have a great product and people are willing to pay for gas fees and they get a value out of it, then you get paid, right? So that's really interesting. And the other aspect that's interesting in terms of the Canton tokenomics is there is no like typical VCs holding the bag. right? If you go look up the tokenomics on Canton, the total supplies is all in circulation, 100%. So I mean, it's built on a burn mint equilibrium, and it will grow over time. But you don't have anybody waiting to basically, dump and cash out from a pre-sale. So that's very good and very interesting from a retail perspective, and also for us as a builder. If we earn rewards because we build on the network, we're not getting dumped. We're not getting a dump from a VC on top of us, right? So that's really good.
Yeah.
The last thing I want to mention about Canton is so the Canton chain it's a layer one with a focus on privacy, but it's not the typical privacy that you may be familiar with from a CK or Monero type of privacy concept. It is privacy specifically built for financial institutions. So it's a privacy model that is private or not on a need to know basis. Or in other words, it's private but with audit ability. So information will be shared amongst those that need it. So if you're a financial institution and you are, helping to off-ramp stable coins as an example, you may need to know certain information about the sending wallet. But that doesn't mean everyone else who has interacted with that wallet needs to know the same set of details. So it's a segregated privacy model. And that's why a lot of financial institutions are behind Canton Network. If you go look it up in their ecosystem, you'll find very big players. And that's essentially also where we come in. So because the idea is to leverage the Canton Network also for private peer-to-peer payments. So imagine you're receiving your salary payment to your WhatsApp number or your LinkedIn name. You don't want anyone to know like what else you're receiving to your wallet, right?
No.
Or how you spend your funds. Like that's really the next big topic in stablecoin payments, privacy. And that's something that if you think about like people from Web 2 are used to it. Because if I make a payment through my bank, there is privacy. You will not be able to know what I have in my account. And that's basically the same thing that will be possible through the Canton network. That you can confirm transactions, you see certain details, but other details you will not be able to see as a public participant unless you have the need to know, right? Because you're a validator on the network and you are interacting with this specific other validator. I should say every app on the network, it is linked to a validator. So the validators are the ones that have that privacy element. But yeah, so that's basically the big news. And there is also like with that from a vision or roadmap perspective, we really want to kind of solve that equation of stablecoin payments need to be simple, private, and fast. That's essentially it. And these three things, like I believe, like if you solve this, then you have a whole new kind of level 2 unlocked in terms of stablecoin payments. But the one thing that's now interesting coming back to Handle is these rewards that are being earned on the Canton network. We're also passing these on to users.
Really?
Yes. Okay. So, and like you got to look at this from a growth flywheel perspective. You want to start driving the right behavior in an app or in an ecosystem. And so what we are going to launch on Monday, first of all, there is a revamp of a UI, a significant part of the UI. And with it will be an engagement program or a reward program. So people will be able to do certain activities. So for instance, you earn points every time you receive a payment to your social username. You can't do like just normal back and forth on-chain payments with a bot. That's not going to work. You need to be able to receive a payment to a WhatsApp number, to your Instagram, to your email address, whatever. You get points. Then, if you talk about what we're building on Canton ecosystem, about handle pay, etc., on socials. You earn points as well. There is a scoring system for that, but you'll hear much more details on this next week. And so on and so forth. You bring new users, you earn points. And every 24 hours, we take account of all the points that people have earned, and we'll basically distribute Canton coins proportionally to all these users every 24 hours.
That's pretty huge.
Now, this is
Yeah.
very interesting, especially in the beginning when you think there is maybe not that many people, right? So the distribution can be quite sizable. But that is also where the first utility of the token comes in. I should say that the core utility of the handle token is that you'll pay for transaction fees with it across the board in all our ecosystem.
Yeah.
But that's going to be rolled out gradually. There is other token utility that we're rolling out over time, several premium features, etc., etc. But what's going to be rolled out as an immediate utility next week is this ability to boost your points if you're holding handle. So depending on how many handles you hold, you get a points multiplier, right? So let's say you get 100 points every time you receive a payment, and if you hold a certain amount of handle, you get 200 points. Or if you hold more, you may get 300 points. So you can really rise up on that leaderboard and secure a bigger chunk of that Canton coin pool that's distributed in the 24-hour period. Yeah, so and that point balance resets every time midnight UTC. It starts over from next day. Yeah, we're really optimistic that this will drive a lot of value add behavior in the product and the ecosystem. And really looking forward to the launch of this next week. It's going to be interesting.
It's gonna be great. And everybody, remember, you can buy into the handle token on launch.rwa.inc. So it's really time now because the window is closing.
Yeah,
so,
I should actually say something about this.
Yeah.
So what sets our launch apart from a traditional launch playbook is, typically you pre-sell a token and then you go list it and that's it, right? What's going to happen here is we have the token available next week in the app. You can buy it in the app for 1 cent. It's a fixed
That's
price.
interesting. Yeah.
It's a 10 million FTV basically, right? You can buy it. And if you have it, right, remember you get a multiplier on points. So it makes financial sense to hold it.
Yes.
But if you don't, you're not locked up. So if you don't want it anymore, you can sell it back to the app at the same fixed price. So you can buy and sell fixed price as long as, the token does not trade yet. Because obviously otherwise everyone else will get it on the launch pad like RWA and sell it back in the app into the contract at 1 cent, right?
Yeah.
No. So what's going to happen is during this phase, people can acquire a token for 1 cent in the app, get a higher multiplier, earn more Canton coins. And then there will be a time after a few weeks where we'll announce that this contract will be transitioned towards a market price. And that's when the token starts trading, right, with the listing event. And at that point, the token will also be distributed to all the Launchpad participants. And let me quickly highlight why this is such a big deal. Because in this first phase, you essentially have people that hold the token. First of all, they bought it at 1 cent, at 10 million FTV. They hold the token. They have seen the utility it brings. And then when the token starts trading, you already have people who have used the token. That's very important. So you counter this initial, sell pressure, everyone just sell as fast as possible, and hopefully get something back from your launchpad investments. But this is a very different scenario. So in this case, like if the people who sold it in the app and they sell it in the market, yeah, they can do that. But then everyone else who remains in the app, they make much more money because now the pool is smaller, right? So it's the same amount of Canton coins distributed to lesser people. And the listing is at 10 million FTV, maybe higher, but that's the target. And so basically people who participate in the launch pad, in the pre-sale, they come in much lower. I believe it's
Yeah.
3.8, something like this, I guess. And yeah, so you're basically getting the token distributed when it's listed. And from that point onward, so that's kind of a 2.5x or something. But
Yes.
from that point onward, you will be able to use the token as well in the app. So you don't, because again, at that point when the token starts trading, the token price in the app is going to be the same as you'd find it on a DEX, right? So
Yeah.
now you have a market price, and you can even use your own token and earn, Canton coins with it.
But I think it's amazing that you already have demonstrated to the market that you have been able to go to one of the biggest chains, make a deal, and then bring extra tokens back to the community. I think that's a very, very large achievement. And I really like Canton's tokenomics also. And I think this will be a very big deal for you guys. So well done, really well done.
Thank you. Yeah, it's opened up opportunities, and I think we just need to think out of the box these days to launch tokens, right? And again, I kept saying this all the time. Launching a token nowadays is more about risk management than just pumping out big marketing stories and hope for a
Yeah,
10x and then a dump. So the more you can control, the better, and that's what really makes me very confident in this launch, because even though the market is, not everyone is jumping around because the market is so great right now, but it actually doesn't matter that much for us, and could even be an advantage. Because if you think about it, if you're holding Handle token, you buy for 1 cent, you earn Canton coins, so you have rewards, and that's the same rewards no matter what the market does. And if Canton coins go up, actually,
that's
you're
what
doing
I'm
even better,
thinking.
right?
You
And
get the upside also.
and if we see anything repeating that we saw in the 21-22 cycle, where you kind of had this dip from the highs, and then kind of almost like 2 cycles in one.
Yeah,
If we see this uptick again, and we're going to go back up to those numbers, then it would be a very, I'd say, easy thing for us to flip the switch and say, well, the token has now been in the fixed price contract during this phase in the app. Now the
yeah.
market is just on fire again. Let's just launch now, and then you can grab all this upside as well. So it's positioning us very well. It's a lot of benefits I see, irrespective of the overall sentiment we see in the market.
It's very, very exciting. And do you already know now what your next milestone is in terms of after launch? Could you tell us a little bit about what's going to happen once you launch, and what your overall strategy is? Because I think many are interested in this growth case, and it really looks like one of the best growth cases. So please tell us more.
Yeah, so essentially, it's, for us, the way we go look about it now is 3 phases. So phase 1, which is starting next week, is this reward program with the
Yeah,
Canton coins in the app, and Handle being available inside the app for a fixed price. That's phase 1. That will last 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks. We'll see how it goes. We'll see what happens in the market. Then there will be phase 2, which is the listing, where the token becomes tradable. That's
yes,
also when everyone from the pre-sales get the token distributed. That target is late December. But again, we're flexible to some degree, depends on the market, but also on some negotiations we are having with exchanges with somebody, other parties as well. Let's say. And then this is going to be a shorter phase. It's probably covering the first 10 days of trading, right? So just
yeah,
like stabilize everything, make sure your chart looks good. And then after that, it's phase 3. That's really then post-listing, where you really focus on the mid to long term, where we start. We also have a couple of roles outstanding where we need to get people in. So there is really like more building happening in that phase 3 after the listing has happened. And with that, there will be, the whole privacy piece is going to come.
Yeah.
There will be support for all the social networks. I mentioned LinkedIn, TikTok, but also on the chains that we support, there's also different things that are coming to the new UI. Yeah, so there's a lot of features that will help to onboard the non-crypto natives. That's the goal at the end of the day.
Yeah. And all the listeners has to do is go in and KYC themselves on launch.rwa.inc. Go to the handle button and press invest. You can invest, I think it's down to $100 minimum and up. So there's really no excuse. I mean, this is the best of the best you're presented for here. And I think, Gregor, you're gonna be one of the tokens people talk about. So yeah, please go ahead. And Gregor, as always, it's been a great pleasure having you here. I'm going to be following you very closely with the rest of the team. We're here to support you 100%. And I must just say, with the cancer news, I think the community will be very, very bullish. So big congrats on the great progress.
We're building for the real world, right? You guys as RWA know that we're building for the real world. We are the payment guys for the real world, and and the Canton network also fits very nicely in that narrative, because the real world is about privacy with full audit trail, right? So yeah, pleasure to be here as always. Thanks a lot for the time and the conversation, and yeah,
it was great.
We'll be hearing more soon.
Deal. Have a nice one out there.
Cheers. Likewise. Bye-bye.